welcome to the second mini webinar in my IELTS success system, which is my system aimed at getting you the band you want in your IELTS. My name is Bernie Wall, and for those who don't know me, I am an IELTS trainer, and I've been working with IELTS and with IELTS students for around 20 years. I specialize in bands 7 and 8 and those students who need bands 7 and 8 in everything. And I also work a lot with students who've taken the exam several times, sometimes many times, and not got the result that they are looking for. Today's webinar is the second in my 5 top IELTS tips series, and today we'll be looking at my top tip for reading. So I'll just get the slides up here, then you can see them. Okay, so we're looking at a really important part of the reading, which is choosing the right keywords and then using those keywords to make sure that you get the right answer. Now, this is a part of reading that's absolutely vital, and if you get this right, then you will find getting the right answers a lot easier than if you don't get it right. So it's really important to work hard on choosing keywords in almost all of the question types in the reading exam. So, why are keywords important? There are a couple of main reasons. One is that they help in your speed. So if you are able to match up your keywords either as they stand in the question or with a synonym in the text, then you'll be able to find your answers much more quickly. And as you know, in the reading, time is really important. You only have, well, effectively 40 minutes because you have to make sure that you record your answers. So you really have 40 minutes to do every question. So that's only 1 minute per question. So the quicker you can find the answers, the better. And the second reason for making sure that you are good at keywords is to make your answers accurate. So make sure you have exactly the right answer that is required for that question. So these two things, therefore, will help you complete the reading more accurately, which means that you will get a higher score, and they will help you to complete the reading faster, which means that you can do it within the time quite comfortably. And if you're in that position, you'll find that getting the band score that you want is not or no longer a hard task. So working on your keywords is really, really important. So let's have a look at some examples of keywords. Okay, this is part 1 of first passage, and the topic was about particular animals in a breeding center. And this particular question was a matching question that you had to do, you had to do with matching the animals in the passage. Sorry, there's a little bit of something going on with my computer, but I hope you can follow this. Matching the animals in the passage with the questions that were in the actual question paper. So here are some questions that I've just, excuse me a minute, I'm going to go back to the screen share and see if I can get that right, because it seems to have disappeared somehow. So let's go back. Okay, that's better. So you had to match the animals from the text with some statements that were in the passage. So these are the keywords that I asked some students to choose. I said choose the main keywords, and these are the ones that they chose. Animals, the most important, and at the center. And here's another of these matching sentences, and these were the keywords, the underlined words that the students picked out. And finally, this is a third. There were about 7, I think, altogether, so I just chose 3 of them. So these were the keywords that the students picked out when trying to find their answers. Now, these are all important keywords. If you look at the first one, center will help you to find the place in the passage. And you're looking for which of the animals mentioned is the most important. In the second one, you're looking to see which animals can be dangerous to one another. And in the final one, you're looking to see whether it's normally difficult for humans to approach some of the animals. Okay, but when I looked at the keywords that had been chosen, I felt that the students had missed 1 or 2 keywords that were very important. Now, in the first one, they didn't miss it, but I would say that probably the most important keyword here to get you an accurate answer would be most. In the second one, I felt that can was important. So why did the person who wrote this question use can instead of these animals are dangerous? So can has a function. It's a possibility, and maybe that will help us to be more accurate in our answer. And finally, I felt that normally, again, why is that included in the question? So normally could be here an important keyword. And if we go ahead and look at how it worked with the text, so here's the first statement, and here's the place in the text. So we can see how these keywords are matching up. We've got breeding center and center, so they match. We've got leopard, which matches with animals. And we've got flagship species. Now, flagship is the most important thing that a company, an organization has. So flagship tells us that this is the most important animal. And it's quite possible, if you were to overlook most in that sentence, that you might not pick up on flagship. Notice there are quite a lot of keywords here, and in the reading you normally need a lot of keywords in order to find the answer accurately, and you need to match up those keywords. So we're looking at 3, 4, sometimes 5 keywords that you need to match in the passage. Okay, here's the second one, and here's the reference in the text. So male leopards, animals, are known, which means they can do it. It may not always happen, but it's a possibility. And dangerous, killed. One another, their partners, i.e. their breeding partners. So this then matches up very well, and we know that the animal we're looking for is the leopard. Okay, and the final one, here's the reference. The leopard is usually shy and secretive, which means it will hide. And we've got usually there as a synonym for normally. And then we have people, which is a synonym for humans. So we can infer from this that if they are shy and secretive, usually, they will be difficult to approach. So humans will find it hard to approach them. So this one matches well. We've got 3 matches, and we can infer on approach that this must be the case. Okay, let's have a look at another example. Now, these examples are from yes, no, not given and true, false, not given. And these kind of questions I just don't think can operate unless you have strong keywords. Keywords and trying to turn the statement into a question are the 2 best ways of dealing with this kind of question. And it is a question type that a lot of people struggle with and a lot of IELTS students find difficult. So they absolutely work on keywords, and those keywords are, as is written there, vital. So here is another example. This is a passage, it was a passage 2, and it's about road rage and incidents on the road. So the students picked out road rage in itself, violation of the law. And I suggested that not is also something to underline, because not and other negatives like this can often cause problems. Okay, here's another one from the same passage. The report states that incidence of conflicts and is rising. So these were the keywords chosen by the students, but they miss rapidly. And rapidly, especially in a yes, no, not given, true, false, not given type question, can change how you answer it. It can change it from yes or no to not given. Because what we need to know here is not only is it rising, but is it rising rapidly? So to overlook rapidly could lose you that question. And finally, relatively here. So road rage, fine, and that is the topic of the passage. Modern phenomenon are probably words that you can find in the passage, or at least synonyms of them. But what we really need to know is it relatively modern, i.e., is it in the last 10 years, as opposed to modern phenomenon, which might be 50 years. So relatively makes it more specific, and therefore it's an important keyword in this sentence. So let's have a look how that works out with reference to the text. So here's the first one. This is the reference. No such offence. So the no there correlates well with not. And road rage matches with road rage. So offence, violation of the law. So in fact, this is not a violation of the law. So the answer here is yes. There is no such offence, therefore it is not a violation of the law. Okay, here's our second one. In the last 12 months, that's recent, there's been an 80% increase in cases of so-called road rage. Okay, so we know that there's been an increase. We know that this increase is recent. The report was the location keyword that found us the right place. But do we know whether it's rapid? Has this increase been rapid or quick? It doesn't tell us. So we can't answer yes because it's a contradiction of what is said there. But is it really a contradiction? Because we know that things are increasing. So there has been an increase, it's true. But what we don't know is whether this increase has been rapid or not. And so we need to ask ourselves another question. Is it possible that this increase has been rapid? Yes, it is possible. But we don't know. We are not told. And because we have not got that piece of information, then we cannot answer this question. So it must be a not given. So we can't say that these incidences are rising rapidly. Therefore, if you overlook rapidly, you will not get this question correct. Okay, and the final one, sorry. A relatively modern phenomenon. Okay, so here in the first part of the sentence, this was quite a long sentence, so I've only given you the first part and the last part. We had the term road rage describes a relatively modern concept. Now, I know many students, maybe as many as 90% of students that I work with, would see modern phenomenon, relatively modern concept, and say, yes, this is true, and stop there. However, if you go on a little bit further in this sentence and you don't just stop at the first half of it, you will see the word that I've bolded in red, which is but. Whenever you see but or however in a sentence, you're going to have a contrast. There's going to be a contrast introduced in that sentence. And it's something you need to be very careful about and very vigilant, and you need to observe it. So here, the term road rage describes a relatively modern concept, which seems to agree with our true, false, not given statement. But we have a contrast. It has, in fact, been part of driving for quite some time. So it's not a relatively modern concept. We may feel it, but it's not. It's been around for some time, maybe 50 years or 60 years. Therefore, the answer here is no. It's a contradiction of the actual question. And the thing that tells us that is that word but. So you need to move further in your sentence sometimes before you jump on the keywords that match. Okay, so looking at that, I hope that you would have been in the 10% that would have noticed those keywords and noticed the anomalies in the text when you match the two together. So some of those keywords that I've mentioned here are words that you should always be careful about if you find them in the questions. So things like everyone, no one, nobody, everybody, some people, all people. These words you should be underlining. Any of these quantifiers, most, many, all, some, etc. If you see those in the questions, especially in yes, no, not given and true, false, not given, take note of them and underline them. Best, worst, only, etc. So is it the best? Is it the worst? These things are also important because that could be the key to getting the question right or getting it wrong. A few, little, a little. You probably noticed this in IELTS reading questions. It comes up a lot. Know the difference. Few people is negative. A few is positive. There were a few people at the meeting. It's a good thing. There were few people at the meeting. It's a bad thing. I have little money. That means you have no money. You're poor. I have a little money is a positive. I have a little money so I can go to the cinema, for example. Really, really fine details and differences in these words, and they come up quite a lot. So make sure if you have any of these kinds of words which look the same but are very, very different, that you know about them and you take note of them. Okay. Any word that describes speed. We had rapidly before, and without taking note of it, we might easily have got the wrong answer. And negatives. Any negative word you must look carefully at because it's likely that in the text it will be the opposite of what your question is telling you. And even worse, double negatives. If you have a double negative, you must really think, what does this mean? So I am not negative, unconvinced, negative by this argument. Means that I am actually slightly believing this argument. So it's the opposite of what it looks. It doesn't mean I disagree with the argument. It means I have some sympathy with the argument, and that could very easily translate itself into one of those tricky IELTS questions that you can get in the reading, particularly in passage 3. So do be very careful about these words and all keywords. So make sure you're underlining a lot of keywords. In the listening, we said last week only one keyword because otherwise it's confusing. But in the reading you need more. You need at least 3 keywords in order to be absolutely secure in your answer. So really, really think about keywords, work on them, make sure that you know how to choose them correctly, which ones to choose, and then use them to help you. Okay. So sorry, there was one more there. But and however, where it changes what you first read and contrasts it with something else. Okay, so what do we need to do apropos of keywords for reading success? We need to choose more than one. Usually I would say a minimum of 3. We need to make sure that all words that we've mentioned in the last slide are underlined. Think, why is that word there? Why did they use can instead of is? Why does it say relatively? Why does it say usually? There's a reason all of the questions are very carefully constructed by the question masters. They are not done randomly. And the reason they are done carefully is to test certain aspects of language in reading to get you the high score. A band 7 and a band 8 in reading means that you have a very good understanding of text and a good understanding of how words and sentences and phrases and linking words work within a text. That's what the examiners are looking for. They are looking for how you can understand, manipulate, use, find detail in a text. And therefore the questions are very carefully written in order to test this. Location keywords are the words that will find you the place in the passage. So use them. There'll be numbers, there'll be names, there'll be topic words, there'll be the name of a report, something like that. And then match those keywords as you find your location using your location keywords. Don't forget the other ones. Match as many as possible. Try and match all of them if you can, but as we saw in one of those examples, there may be some inferences to make. But if you've got 3 matching keywords, you can be confident that you've probably got the right place. If you can only match 1 keyword, then I suggest you've got the wrong place, and that keyword must be somewhere else in the text, and you need to go quickly and find another place where you can find that keyword. Keep going back to the question to make sure that you're looking at all the keywords, that you haven't forgotten 1 or 2, and you certainly haven't forgotten the important ones. Be careful of words like but and however, because these will change what you think might be the answer. And don't abandon your keywords. Don't jump on the first one or the first 2 and say, that's it. Make sure you match the others, because you may not be right with just 1 or 2 keywords. And as I said just a few minutes ago, if you can't find most of the keywords you've chosen, look somewhere else in the text, because it's possible that it might be in the text. Okay. So that's how you will get reading success. And remember, 1 minute per question, it's not long. So keywords will really help you maximize that time that you have. Now, that's all I have to say on IELTS today, and on reading, sorry, today, and keywords. But the problem is that IELTS is not a tricky exam. It's a quite straightforward exam. But there can be a lot of pitfalls, and I hope with these tips that I'm sharing with you that you can see what some of the pitfalls are. And unfortunately, those pitfalls can cost you a lot of marks. And if you lose 4 or 5 marks in a test, then that could jeopardize the band score that you want. Now today I've only got time to share this one tip with you, but I have many, many more tips, advice and work over 20 years of working with IELTS, and I was also for 5 years an IELTS examiner. So I know a lot about how the IELTS works from the inside as well as from the teaching side. And so I've seen many, many students who've had great English skills, yet they are not getting the scores that they want. And it's purely because of these small things that are not quite working out. And this can be costly. It can be very costly. It can cost a lot of money if you have to keep taking the test over and over. It can sometimes cost you in travel if you need to travel to take the test to another city or a far away, sometimes even another country. I know some of my students have traveled to another country to take the test. So it can cost a lot of money if you need to take it more than once or twice. It can also cost you a lot of time. That time wasted while you're trying to reach your new future. The time it takes to actually prepare every time you want to take the test again. So time can also be something that is quite costly to you and something that you can never get back. Maybe the money you can write off, because if you reach your future dream, you get your job, or you get to your university, maybe the cost of the IELTS is insignificant with that. But the time you will never get back if you waste 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I was speaking to a student recently. You might see the video on my YouTube channel, and she took 10 years to get the test. That's a long time. So time you'll never get back. So it's important that you really prepare well. It can also be stressful. Your life is on hold while you're taking this IELTS. If you're in the country that you want to be in, and say you're now looking to take the IELTS so that you can stay in that country, there may be a possibility that if you don't get the score you want, you're going to have to leave that country. And I know many students who are in this position, and that is very stressful. So it's important that you try and get the right advice and the right support. And that's what I want to offer you today. Most of my students who've followed my system, who've worked with me, who've done everything I've told them to do, have got the exam. And in fact, in the last 2 years, my success rate on IELTS students getting their score has been 80%. And I would really love for you to be in that 80% of students that work with me and get their IELTS result. And that's why I've put all of the advice and all of the secrets, if you like, but the tips and advice and methods that I use with my students into a single program. And that single program is called my IELTS Success System. And it's a step-by-step approach to the whole exam. And I would really like to share that with you. Sorry, I've just lost the slide again. Bear with me. And show you how you can get this advice and what is in this system. So my system is a 12-week step-by-step program, where you get an email every day with the lesson of the day, but you also have access to that whole program right from the beginning, so that if you want to go faster and do 2 lessons a day, you can do that. You have access to my online community, where you can get the support not only of myself and my team of IELTS teachers, but also from other IELTS students who are on the same journey as you. You get specifically designed exercises, as well as lists of tips and advice and the things that you need to develop, the techniques that you need to develop for each part of the test. And you get practice exercises to help you with each of the questions. It's self-paced learning, so you can go at your own speed. If you need to review, then you can review. If you want to move on faster, you can do that. There are over 300 hours of learning in this program. And I've got 2 bonuses to offer you. One is some IELTS writing tasks that I've corrected myself, showing you the kind of mistakes that are made commonly by students and how you can avoid them, and also giving you advice on things to include and things not to include in your IELTS writing. And you get 1-year membership of my English advanced language site, Gap Fillers, which has over 8,000 pages of language exercises. This includes extra reading, extra listening, grammar, vocabulary, and lots of other things that will help you to improve your English language generally at the band 7, 8, and 9 level. And as an extra bonus, anybody who signs up to my IELTS Success System will get a 20% discount if they want to move on to any of my other programs, such as my IELTS Exam Booster program, which is a revision course, or the writing program, or any other one-to-one work that you want to do with me or my team. So, Everything that you need to get the score that you want is in this IELTS Success program. And it is the key to getting a high band, to be good at every single exercise in every single part of the test. That is the key, so that you can be really well prepared. And today, I'm offering something very special to people who are on this call, and it's only available for 3 days. So don't lose money or waste time or put your career or your university course on hold for too long. Make sure that you get your IELTS result. Be one of my 80% who get the score that they want and have moved on to university courses, to life in Australia, life in the UK, life in the US, life in New Zealand, pursuing their career as doctors, accountants, other medical professionals, business people. Many students who've gone through my hands are now doing this, living their dream, and I want you to do that too. So for 3 days, I am offering my IELTS Success System, a step-by-step guide to every part of IELTS for just $97, which I think you saw on there. So $97 for the next 3 days instead of the normal $197. And all you need to do is go to this website, www.ieltslearningtips.com/IELTS Success System. So go to that website and claim that price today. Remember, it's only available for 3 days after this webinar, and I look forward to seeing you there and helping you with your IELTS and getting you to the band score that you really want to move on with your future career or your future life for you and your family. So remember about the keywords, take that on board, and I really hope to see some of you on my IELTS Success System. Meet you in the Facebook group or on the Skype. We also have a Skype group for speaking. So there's a lot there to help you with your IELTS, and at $97 it is really good value. So thank you again for being here today. Sorry, I'm just trying to get back to you. Thank you for being here today, and I hope to see you. I'm just going to stop the screen share if I can. There, good. Sorry about that. It's a few technical problems, but I hope you could follow all of that. So I do really urge you to look at the IELTS Success System. Have a look at the page I showed you and find out what it's all about. If you need any help or you want more information, then you're quite welcome to email me and I'll explain that more to you. Make sure you get the right keywords in your reading, and I hope that you can join me on my next mini webinar. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.